Hey guys, it's Marty and
This is Erin.
And we're here for episode 8 of Better Together, which is a podcast ministry of Sandridge Baptist Church dedicated to telling the stories of people in the church, because we believe that when we hear people's stories and we know who they are and we know what God's done in their life, it helps us come together and we are really better together. Oh, that was almost synced up, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Sappy.
I'll be honest, Marty. This one scares me a little bit.
I'm
a little nervous about
as
this
you've
one.
already kind of seen from the title of this week's episode, we are talking to the children of some of our ministers on staff. And so I'm going to go around the horn here, have you guys introduce yourself. But we have got some questions for them that we hope bring insight into what it's like to live with a staff member or to live with somebody who serves a church, what it's like to be a part of their family, both the negative and the positive.
Yeah.
And we want to highlight the positive, but we have to understand that there is some negative that comes along with that.
Right.
Because everybody faces negativity in their workspace, whether that is internal, external, whatever it is. Things happen. And so we want to shed some light today on these fine folks, their families, and what it is really like to be in the family of a minister. And so we're going to start over here. If you'll give us your name, give us your age, and tell us one thing maybe that's interesting about you, a hobby, something that maybe somebody wouldn't know about somebody, something like that. So name, age, and your thing. Here we go.
Yeah.
I'm Annaliese Estes, and I'm 13 years old, and my hobby is dance.
Okay.
I'm Maddie Comer. I'm 16, and my favorite color is pink. There we go.
I would not have thought that.
I'm Joshua Runyon. I'm 21 years old, and I like to catch fish.
I'm Annaliese Estes. I'm 14, and I play video games.
That is true. You do that. And so you guys already know hearing this that we have a kind of a wide variety of ages. We've got middle schoolers, we've got high schoolers, we've got people who've graduated schoolers and are now living their adult life and out in the workforce. And so I think this is going to be an interesting panel. Let's go around here for pretty much Isaac and Annalise. I know for pretty much all of your life I've been in ministry, right? I mean, Josh, is that true for you?
Dad's been here for 2010, I think.
Okay.
Working
So you were
business.
already
Yeah.
born.
Yeah.
You were already alive.
Yeah.
And Maddie, I know the same's true for you. You've always known your dad as a pastor. And so I wanted to ask you, I thought it would be fun to start with this. What is the best thing about being the child of a minister or a child of someone on staff at the church?
Whenever something bad happens in your family, you get all kinds of food just showing up at your doorstep, and it's incredible.
Yes.
And I mean, it's a horrible thing. Like, if mom has surgery, some grandfather dies, it's horrible, you're in pain, but they've got your back and they're bringing you a casserole.
Or
it's incredible. Or that. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great.
I think it's like youth pastor's kid kind of always get to sign up first for everything,
Basically.
basically.
Well, they know they're going to whatever event.
It's
we're
just they're
doing.
automatically
Yeah,
on the
they're-
list,
yeah.
right?
Like we don't even have to ask. We're like, are we on the list? Yeah.
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 We're just there.
And I think for me, it's a lot of people know me and my family, so there's a lot of support for our family, especially when something bad happens or we're going through something. There's a huge support group, and that's a very good thing.
And a support group that includes casseroles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's my
Sometimes.
favorite kind of support group.
Yeah.
Pies.
I remember last
I
year.
wish they were bringing pumpkin pie.
Last year when we had COVID, we had people that volunteered to drop stuff off at the door and
Yeah.
checked on us every day. And I mean, it's like you're part of part of a larger family, right?
Well, that's supposed to be the church.
Well, I mean, and
you're
it's
supposed to do that. For
ideally
everybody,
that
but
should
yeah.
happen with everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I just know. I mean, one of the perks is every now and then I get like a cheesecake or something. Yeah.
Sometimes he keeps those at the office though, and we don't see those. Just so you all know, if you're
That
bringing
does not happen.
What about like the giant red velvet cheesecake?
That came to the house.
Yeah,
Yes,
did.
that
it was good.
It had like 10 pounds of frosting on it.
It was fantastic. So let's counteract that.
Did Isaac say his?
Yep.
No, I didn't.
No, you didn't, Isaac. What do you what's your favorite?
Usually some cool stuff comes from like The Office. If like some youth or
Oh, like
children's
if Daddy
items.
gets a goodie box from like camp or
Yes.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We usually get
sometimes.
those.
Sometimes they get the shirts and stuff, and
You used to get the
Yeah.
baby shirts.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the what was it? That,
Oh, the big box of fun that we get from VBS.
Oh yeah, and
They
then there's
usually get
there's
an item
party
or two
shark.
out
I
of
got
that.
the party shark.
you got to be the party shark. That's true. That is the ultimate.
Yeah.
That's that's the ultimate favorite
I
thing.
remember whenever I was like small enough, I used to like wear like the VBS shirts, and I'd be like, yeah, I have this. Yeah, what you gonna do about it? I'm cooler than you.
Oh wow.
I got
So let's again flip that on the other side. What do you guys think is the worst thing
How
to
bad?
you?
What would it take to ruin your day?
The worst thing about being the child of someone on staff at a church.
All
I
the
wonder-
expectations that are put on you.
Oh my gosh.
Like it's like if you feel like you're expected to be this like perfect person, and it's so not that. Especially growing up, it's like you feel like you can't make a mistake because you feel like everybody can see it. It's really difficult that way.
Your mistakes are magnified almost. You feel like every little mistake you make is magnified.
Well, and as a parent, because I'm the only parent of ministers' kids. Well, we are the only parents of ministers' kids in the room. I know that sometimes that comes from us. I'm like, don't get up and go to the bathroom to your church. That makes us look bad.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Go. I mean, really, you should go beforehand.
Yeah, but what
period,
happens?
but-
What happens if you have to go in the middle?
Well, that's
You
true.
You drink
Yeah.
too much water.
Well,
Like-
should be hydrated, right? Hydrate or dihydrate.
Right.
I would have to
But
say,
I know, we're guilty of putting that pressure on y'all too.
I would have to say it's like you have to join everything. Like especially as a kid, you have to join kids choir, Bible drill, like everything.
You didn't have to join that. You volunteered.
No, I think I had to.
No, yeah, it's,
Dad said I had to join
Okay.
children's choir.
it's true though, because like I was like forced into doing the Christmas play every year, and I always hated it. I go in there crying. I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
And now look at you.
Yeah, it's
So maybe some of that was actually positive in some
probably,
ways.
Yeah.
but
I
other
don't-
parts of it, I
I
just
don't really
hated
have
it.
anything.
Okay.
Nothing really wrong. For
Well,
me.
let me ask you this: do you think, or like Erin said, we say some of those expectations that we have, like that we do? I mean, I have to
Yeah.
admit that we have some of those expectations for our children. It's like that, we want you to be this certain way. We feel like maybe you have to act a certain way. Which expectations are heavier to you guys? Is it the spoken expectations, or is it the silent expectations?
I'm gonna say silent because they're just not there, and yet they are at the same time, so they can creep up.
Yeah, it's just like the constant like kind of threat of like, how does this make my parents look? Like, what action? How does what I am doing look back on them? Like, it's hard to know.
Yeah, all eyes are on you, really.
And
But that is a good thing too. Like that can hold you accountable at times,
And I don't think anybody in here, the four of you, would say, like, we wake up in the morning and it's our mission to say, how can I ruin my parents' reputation today?
No.
Right?
It's
I mean,
like
sometimes I think that.
I think it's like
You do not.
He's not my sibling.
He is.
I
He
have no
is.
idea
You
who
just
that
have to bear
person
with it.
is.
You just have to bear with it.
Said unfortunately.
I almost said unfortunately, and I didn't mean it. I didn't mean it. So here's the thing. One of the questions that we had for you guys is this, and I think maybe this is one of those things where we're kind of pulling back the curtain a little bit, and it is this: what are the perks? Because I mentioned this earlier, and I was like, and y'all were all like, "Oh yeah, Yeah,
like
there's
the weekly, not just the casseroles when you're sick, but the weekly like.
yeah. Like, what are some
are
of the
there some
perks of being
special-
a staff
I
member's
got
child?
a lot of
I did,
perks.
yeah.
I got a list on me.
Well, just name one right now.
Right now, one, I can grab drinks from the fridge. I mean, they got those 20-ounce Diet Cokes in the back.
So now everybody knows where all of those are going.
No, not all the time, because I'm not here, Matt. Most days.
People just love taking you out to lunch and buying your lunch for you.
I don't
And
get
You're
that.
in the wrong profession.
Yeah, it's like,
Wait, what?
oh, y'all don't get that, but we do. And no, we like.
All right, youth committee.
That's my big perk is people love taking us out to lunch.
Oh,
And
I
I
was-
also love that.
I was thinking it was probably the massive amounts of chicken nuggets on Wednesday nights.
Oh, is that due to me? I mean,
Wait.
I'm not the only person who gets them.
I feel like you probably were the one who it was started for.
No,
Yeah, because
because in the
you're
beginning
picky.
it was hot dogs.
Oh, okay.
And then it switched to chicken nuggets.
Gotcha.
Yeah, because you're
Okay.
picky.
Yeah.
No.
I like hot dogs.
Alright.
You like hot
You
dogs,
like hot dogs?
and then you
Okay,
mix
I
it.
don't know. Okay.
But then we got the spicy nuggets, and that's the holy
I can't do spicy.
god. Putting,
Josh, what's yours?
So I drum, right? And I don't have a drum set at the house, so I know how to get into the building to practice
So you
drums.
can
You
whenever
get
I
the key
want.
code.
Yeah.
Well, that's really. I mean, you're serving the Lord there, so that's necessary.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Well, I would have to say, I come up here like all the time after hours, and there's all unlimited access to internet.
Our internet is terrible.
It is not. It's not good.
But
And so she gets to come up here and watch Netflix, or Isaac gets to stream, or,
Yeah,
or
I
I
things
watch
like that.
YouTube.
YouTube.
I watch Netflix.
This kind of thing. So if you're
That's where
passing the
I'm at.
church and it's like 7:00 at night and my car is still here, chances are we're playing a game online or downloading some Netflix videos or something like
or
that.
he's streaming for something.
Right,
else.
right.
And
Just
like,
can't.
Nobody's
okay,
told
hey,
me that
it's
I couldn't
okay.
do that.
I
Well,
thought it was gonna be that child.
Yeah,
No,
yeah. Hey,
I'm
it's
smarter.
fine. It's fine. Here's something like as a staff member's child. Has there ever been a moment where you, and this can no context needed, just yes or no. Has there been a time that you wished your parent was not in ministry?
Yes.
That was blatantly put.
Well, I mean, he asked for that. and-
No, I think
No, that's
we
fine.
want
We
you to
want
be
an honest answer.
like,
it's hard.
Yeah, the reason is because, like, it's like your dad is always, like, on the phone constantly. He's gone constantly. He's got to be with people. He's got to be ministering with people. And he can't always be at home with you. And that's, like, super hard.
I would say no because I'm homeschooled, so he comes home on Fridays and has nothing to do, and I get off on Fridays, and he comes home for lunch. So
Well, and that is part of the reason that, or that's the majority of
the
the
reason
reason that
we
we
do it.
chose to homeschool was because we knew there were going to be late nights and yeah,
I mean, then you got dance on the other hand.
yeah.
Yeah. What about you guys?
I don't think so. No.
Okay.
Well, you were older coming into it,
Yeah,
so
I already had I was like 9 or 10 when I became a minister's child. So.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't really think I ever had any.
That's just me from the beginning, so I've always wondered what it'd be like if he wasn't the best.
Right.
right.
Well, and can I say that as a person who has done full-time ministry for almost 20 years, and that's been primarily my work, is sometimes I wonder what it would like. What would this be like if I was not
Right.
a minister?
Maybe
You know, if I
would you
wasn't
be
on
alive?
staff, what I don't know what I would be. I don't have any marketable skills.
Maybe we
be
Uh,
an
wouldn't be
English
alive.
teacher.
Yeah.
I'd be an English teacher, sure. I don't know.
Well, it is hard because a lot of times we're the first ones in and we're the last ones out.
Right.
You know.
It's always
Right.
I'm
true.
trying to eat my
So-
grilled cheese over here with
To-
my bag of chips and a soda.
Yeah.
And you are keeping
Today
me
it
from
was
doing that.
we're starving.
Yeah.
Please leave.
But I mean, I think that I think our families have to have, and would you tell me if y'all would agree with this? Like our families have to have kind of a special understanding of there are going to be times where we have to be away, or we have to stay late, or we have to go in the middle of dinner, I mean, all of those scenarios have happened in my life. Do y'all agree with that? Like,
Yeah,
there's
for sure.
Yeah.
and
It's doing God's work, you know. It's
Yeah.
bigger.
well, when you work with people, that work is never really on your schedule.
Right.
It's you have to work on their schedule, and so a lot of times those really hard to deal with life events, you know, like people being sick or an accident or someone passing away, those definitely don't have. Those are not on anybody's schedule,
Right.
right? And so we have to be flexible. I'm glad that we're able to have that flexibility in our life. I know some people don't. So how do y'all deal with that? Like when it's I wanted to do this, or it's another late night. How do you deal with that?
I sleep and then wait for the next day.
Yeah, there's really nothing you can do about it. You just have to grin and bear it, because you can't always have your dad with you. It's not easy,
I
but
think-
you just have to deal with it.
Yeah, you gotta come to this understanding, you know, that like I said, he's doing God's work and he's ministering to people who need it, and you know, you gotta be okay with that.
Well, I think that's where, like, me personally in my life, like I have to look at my time, and I have to plan to be intentional with my family. Like, okay, I've had this many late nights, and now I need to finish this up today really quick so that I can carve out time to be with them. You know, and that's always I hope, at least my two, y'all know this, that's always a priority that I've tried to have. Like, I've always tried to do that. It doesn't always work.
The mass
like
amounts of
like
importance
this
is kind
this past week, when a lot of people were on fall break, that did not happen.
Right.
You know, there was no time to carve out. There was just too much to do. And there's times where, and I think I'm speaking for all of us who are staff who have kids. Is there times that we look and we wish that it could be different, that it wasn't a long hour, or that it wasn't this or it wasn't that, but like you said, there's nothing we can do, you know. And if we truly want to serve the Lord, there's a lot of times we have to be available. And so there's times that we have to be available, and then there's also times that, you know, like we as staff members, pastors, whatever, we're in the trenches and we're working and we're fighting for the gospel and the kingdom of God, things to happen, and something happens and someone speaks negatively about the church or speaks negatively about us. And I know that you guys have probably, in the time that you've been alive, you've heard that.
Yes.
So without getting into specifics of that, I just thought it would be good for us to talk about, how does that make you feel as the child of that person, when you know maybe they didn't speak negatively directly about your dad or mom, but they spoke negatively about something that was going on, and you know that they're like pouring their life into that thing. How does that feel?
Yeah.
It's
Go ahead.
it's for me. It's like, and my dad being the pastor, it's super hard because, like, people will say that, like, you know, he's a great pastor, but church is too big. I don't want to go. Church is too big, and like that's not fair to him. Whenever he pours his life into it, like, if my dad, if he's at home, usually he's working. Like, he's on the recliner, but he's got his Bible out and he's got his computer on and he's writing. He's always been doing that. He's always does that. And for people to say stuff like that, or one time somebody wrote a really mean Facebook post about how he didn't smile at them in the grocery store or in the dollar store. And I was like, we were both kind of mad at each other at that time because we were in the dollar store together, and he was just trying to buy me a candy bar, and Dad didn't even know this person, didn't smile at them, and they got mad at him for that, and were basing something of his work like off of that, and it was just completely unfair to someone who literally spends all of their time doing this one thing. It's really hard that way.
Yeah.
When you see someone working so hard to get mean things said to them.
Yeah, it's like, well, like the youth pastor's kid is always like, well, if there's like something happening in the youth, they always like think it's like with the youth pastor or something. It's like not always that case, because like it could be someone else, it could be something else, it could not even be his fault.
So they blame your parent for something else that's going on in the church. That's not their fault.
Yeah. That, like,
And here's the deal: ministers are human too. We're gonna have bad days. There's gonna be days in the grocery store that I'm not smiling at people
Yeah.
because I'm having a bad day.
Yeah, I always get defensive when somebody
Yeah.
says something like that. Because I see what happens, like Maddie was saying, like I see what happens at home,
Right.
what he does at home, you know, how much time he has spent with his ministry.
Mm-hmm.
And people who say mean stuff don't see all that, you know, and
Right.
they don't understand. So I always get defensive.
You can't really diss the church because of one reason. We got donut fellowship. And no one else, and I'm pretty sure not many other churches do this. Alright.
Yeah,
Well,
you can
right.
tell he's a minister's kid because he hasn't been to a whole lot of other churches
Right.
other than ours.
But the question is how does it make you feel when that negativity, when you hear that?
He says donuts covers it all.
Yeah.
I just get real hungry, to be honest.
Isn't that a symptom of anxiety?
Probably.
I think
don't
it
know.
is.
It's kind of like food is my comfort.
Okay. You know, I think that something Erin said is really important, and I think it applies to our conversation here with you guys too, is that we're all just human. We're going to have bad days. We're going to have good days. Each and every one of us are going to make mistakes, whether we're in a staff position, whether we're a child of a staff member, whether we're a spouse of a staff member, whether we are, whether we're just a church member, you know, or a teacher or whatever. We're going to have those days. And I think that it goes back to the idea of grace and mercy, and that we are really, really good at wanting and showing grace and mercy to ourselves, but not really good at others, at showing it to others.
Especially when they're in a high position, you know.
Yeah,
Like we were talking about earlier, like all eyes are on them, and it seems like it's harder for people to show grace and mercy to those people.
it's a different story until you've walked in their shoes. And that's really why we wanted to have you guys on this episode, was so that for people who don't have a staff position or don't work at a church, to know that not only is it hard on our families, but also, I mean, it is hard on families. There's some great things that come out of it. There's some really good things that come out of it. But also that we're just like everybody else. It's just that God has called us to be in this position for this time, to do this thing. And, you know, that doesn't mean that me or Dr. Marty or Keith or anybody, that we're super Christians.
Right.
And I think it's hard to separate the expectations of what a person wants in a minister away from what we should see in their family. I think it's hard for just a regular person to do that. It's hard for me to do that. I mean, I'll be honest. If each and every one of us is honest in this room, we have all at one time judged someone unfairly based on their behavior or the behavior of someone in their family. Am I wrong?
For sure.
Yeah.
So, you know, and all of our listeners, you have at one point judged someone unfairly because of their behavior or the behavior of someone in their family.
Right.
And I thank God that we serve a God of second, third, fourth, and 4 billionth chances. You know, that is gracious to us in the midst of that. So it's gracious to me as I try to juggle church family and my family and work life and home life. That's a big priority for me.
Well, and this is something I've come to realize just over the last, I think, year. It's hard to worship where you work, and I know y'all don't get paid by the church. I don't get paid by the church, but you're still working for the church a lot. I know my kids are here tearing down chairs, and because when Mama comes to work, they come to work. You do a lot of and it's hard to work where you worship because it's hard to separate sometimes of being on.
I thought you just said worship where you work.
Well, worship
You
where
said
you
work
work,
where you
work
worship.
where you worship. Both.
And to pull back the curtain a little bit more, y'all, there are times where things happen in our positions, or we don't feel like we're doing a good job, or we don't feel like we're meeting the things that we want to see, or we feel down on ourselves. And the reality is that we won't say that to you as the church, but we'll go home and take that out on our families. And it's not right, and it's the same way as if you have a bad day at work.
Right.
If you worked at
Procter and Gamble.
Procter and Gamble or Walmart or wherever, and you've had a bad day, and you guess who gets it a lot of times? It's the people who are closest to you.
Right.
And so again, we're not superhuman. We're not super Christians.
But then that can make our kids have a bad view of the very place that we want them to go and grow and learn. And so I know all of the pastors here we do our best to give our kids a good view of the church.
Yeah. But sometimes that doesn't happen.
Sometimes
Just
it
like
doesn't.
sometimes we don't give them a good view of Walmart.
Right.
or wherever.
No, I don't need your view. I already know the horrors of Walmart.
As we close up, guys, I wanted to ask this question and kind of bring it back on a positive note. And I think this would be fun to kind of just go around here and say about thinking about your prospective parent who is a staff member. What is something about them that maybe people don't know? Something they enjoy, something that's a little lighter about them. I'm gonna start over here with Annaliese, and you and Isaac can kind of go together. But
What was the question again?
what's something about me that people may not know?
You're pretty much an open
I
book.
am, but or what? Let's ask this. It could be that, or it can be what is your favorite memory with me?
You want to do memory and I'll do...
Do we need to come back to you?
Wait, I'm trying to think.
Isaac, you said you had something?
Yeah, I got it. I'll do the thing that they probably don't know about you.
Uh-huh.
You won a ping pong game against Scott Diffie, and you ran the winner's run, and your pants fell down. Alright, there you go.
That is true. That did happen in the youth room one Wednesday night after church.
After church, whenever we had to stay overtime while we're trying to go eat popcorn at home and get our Sonic drink, you're in there playing against Scott Diffie.
That's a little inside to the Esteses every Wednesday night.
Wild Wednesdays.
We leave and we go get a drink from Sonic.
No, we go to Dodges.
Well, now we've switched to Dodges because they're cheaper.
And
And
89-cent slushies.
and then we go home and sometimes we make popcorn.
Yep.
Most of the time.
Okay, thanks, Isaac. That's now in people's minds.
Yeah.
Okay, Josh, what about you?
My father, Keith Runyon, he loves the Twilight Saga.
No!
Loves
No! I have a new disrespect for Keith Runyon.
I love
Oh my
Twilight. That's something
goodness.
we have in common.
Bro,
Oh my gosh,
Every
yes.
time it comes on the TV, he watches it.
Is he team
Bro,
Edward or team
dude, the
Jacob?
team,
I
bro.
don't know.
Josh, can I tell you one of the earliest things that I did here at the church with your dad was one day he said, "Why don't you come home and have lunch at my house?" And I was like, "Okay." And we went and we made our sandwiches and we sat down in the living room and he turns on the TV and he's like, "Well, Now it's time for Star Trek: The Next Generation.
And my dad being a
And we watched an
Every
entire
Sunday.
episode of Star Trek, and then we got in a truck and drove back here to the church.
No, here's the thing. My dad's a hardcore Star Wars fan, so this was kind of just a slap in the face.
No.
No, it was
no,
fine.
it's
Those were good sandwiches. They were good stuff.
I got mine.
It's
Okay.
not a good show.
Okay. I forgot it.
Gosh dang it!
Okay, Maddie, we'll go to
Okay,
you.
I'll take over them. My dad, when I was in elementary school, he picked me up from school every single day, and it started as we would go to Gorski's, get a piece of gum. We'd go to the ballpark, go play on the playground. But sometimes, on very special days, he would take me to the funeral home. He'd take me to Reed's, he'd take me to Pafford's, and he'd be like, well, whoever died, we gotta go pay our respects. And I've been to probably 50 funerals in my life,
Yeah.
and I'm only 16.
Have
I've
I
had a
been
lot
to
of funerals,
more?
but sometimes instead of funerals, he'd take me to the hospital to see people who were in the process of dying.
Mm-hmm.
Which was-
Yes.
Yeah, he'd take me to see people who were sick and dying, sick and not dying, or just sick.
Just had a baby.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there are been to see a lot of babies.
Yeah.
But
But see, as the parent, I'm going, well, that's the way I can get my kid involved. And then we usually went to Sonic for a drink after. So.
no, I just hated it.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
I as a 12-year-old, I was
You
not
hated
super
it.
excited to go to the funeral.
Because it was boring.
Did they
Also-
let you go in the back room and eat something at the funeral home?
I'm sure they would have, but I wasn't gonna ask.
No, okay.
Right.
Okay.
Dang, you were too polite.
Okay, so, like, during the ice storm that never happened, that was supposed to shut down the power, and during a bunch of other things that we would have gotten locked in our houses, my dad would go to Walmart and buy a bunch of snacks
And it was
and
the best.
food that we didn't even need. Like, we didn't need
It
them
was called
because it ended up not happening. But we just had a bunch of food now.
There's usually Oreos involved.
Oh, there's always
There's
Oreos.
always Oreos.
Yeah.
There's
My
always
dad-
Oreos.
Oh,
It's the
like,
best
you'll
cookie
come-
in the world.
You'll come into his office. You'll see either Chips Ahoy, which just recently found out he had a packaging of Chips Ahoy red
No, I
velvet
was-
cookies
I
and
was
did not
there.
bring them home.
Anyways, I was there. I was
Be
with them whenever they
quiet.
bought them.
Or there's like Oreos just sitting on the couch. We're like,
Hey,
Gotta have snacks for the, to fuel the work. Fuel
yeah,
the,
he has
the,
to edit
the work for the
Annalise.
Lord. You gotta
He
No.
has
Gotta
to
have-
edit.
you gotta
I
have.
mean, he has like a whole
podcasts.
drawer of snacks and then he goes out and buys cookies.
Okay.
Yeah,
I mean, he also
that's
has a
true.
mini fridge,
Well,
but
I also accept snack donations. So. Well,
Hey,
guys,
I do too.
this has been really fun. I have enjoyed having this conversation
Yes.
with you. It was a little chaos, but I mean, hey, why not?
Your dad
right?
was worried about you, Maddie. We should have been more worried about our children.
I mean, I know I'm not gonna say anything incriminating.
I'm
Right.
not gonna incriminate them.
okay.
Annalise, on the other hand, I don't know what she is. She's
Well,
a loose cannon.
I want to say this as we kind of close up is the one that I want to say this is as a dad, as a staff member, as someone who leads others, that the best thing that you can do for me and my family is to support our ministry and to pray for us. You don't have to like everything we do. You don't have to enjoy everything that we plan, but just pray for us, support us, love us, because I want my kids to grow up and love the church. I want them it to be a place they want to be. I want it to be a place that they want to raise their kids in. Hopefully, and maybe the Lord calls some of you here in this room to ministry. That hopefully the door is open for that, and we ultimately what we want is we want to glorify the Lord in what we do, and I want my family to glorify God, and for people when they see my family to say they are people who pursue the Lord. And that happens with good, godly people behind us, praying for us, loving for us, and supporting us. In church, you have been more than gracious, overly, over these last 9 years that we've been here, 25 years that Marty and Linda have been here. Long time for Keith. I think you said he
Yeah.
came in
11.
He started
10 or
working-
11, yeah.
He started working here in about 2010.
Yeah, 11, almost 12 years now. And so thank you so much. And we hope this has been encouraging. We believe in these stories again because we believe that we are better together when we learn about each other and we learn each other's stories. I want to remind you, wherever we are or wherever you listen to this podcast, if you'll go and give it a written review, give it some star rating there. 5 stars is best. All right, 5 full stars. It helps other people find the show, and share it with other church members. We would love for it to grow, and we look forward to continuing to bringing you all kinds of other stories from inside the church. And so for me and Erin, we are
Better together.